What's up guys, it's Professor Smoke and I'm making a super special project today. This is a present for my mom for Mother's Day. I'm making my family house, the house that I grew up in as a child, my parents' house. I'm going to make a miniature version of it because I think that it's going to be a really awesome gift. I'm laying down a bunch of Elmer's glue all and just kind of pushing chunks of styrofoam into it. I hit it with the heat gun because I thought it would kind of melt together and be a little more rounded, but it did not work that way. So I'm just pretty much laying down the rough shape of this entire thing. This mixture I'm using here is Mod Podge mixed with black paint. It really helps fill in the cracks and give a nice ground-like texture. I'm using Elmer's glue all and brushing it on and then sprinkling flock over the surface of the entire thing. But this is only the first layer. We'll add more flock later. Now I'm going to lay down some brown paint wherever I want to have dirt. Laying down many different kinds of rocks helps us get a really nice texture, and I'm using that to kind of give our driveway a little bit of dimension. Now I'm putting down crackle paint. This is a miniature style paint that's going to dry and it's going to have some nice cracks. It'll give us a really nice dirt texture for the outside of the yard. It's important to paint the edges so that we don't have any white or black showing. It'll give us a very professional look in the end. Here I'm just measuring and cutting a nice shape for our house. It's really important that we take precise measurements and get straight cuts at this stage. I'm laying down some real pieces of wood in the fire pit there, and I actually did slightly burn some of them to give that nice fire pit effect. By using a stone, we can get a very nice stony texture for our walkway that we made out of clay. I used Super Sculpting medium because it's a very hard clay, and that's good for making a rock-like texture. Using some Mod Podge mixed with sand and yellow sandy paint, I poured a nice cement-style surface for us to lay our walkway bricks into. Using some super glue and some nice tufts of flowers, we can add a lot to our project here by filling in the nice little garden area we created. It takes minimal effort but gives us a really nice result and kind of ties the whole thing together. By laying down the general shape of our house, we can take away a lot of the work later. It's really important that we get the form of the house before we start trying to add other things to it, like color and texture. Using our Dremel tool, we can get a really straight cut in the edge of the porch there, and using Mod Podge mixed with black paint, I pour a nice cement-like area and fill it with rocks for a really cool patio area, which mimics the actual patio at my parents' house. What would a yard be without a propane tank? I'm using Super Sculpting medium clay to make this propane tank, and I just give it a very nice paint job, finishing it off with some white color shift paint to give it that nice shiny and smooth surface that we're all used to on a propane tank. The feet of it don't need to be perfect because I'm going to cover it with some tufts later. To make fake trees, we're going to paint some bamboo skewers and toothpicks brown to act as the stems of our trees. We're also going to spray paint some filter material brown to be the branches. Giving a nice thorough dry brushing of gray paint onto each of these toothpicks and bamboo skewers because it's going to give it a nice bark-like texture. We cut up our filter material into small circles and put it onto each stem in layers. Looks like branches, huh? Taking a small dab of Elmer's glue all and putting it onto each little tuft of branches where I'm going to slide the toothpick through. This helps seal each layer of branches to the stem. These bigger trees we can cut at any distance, so they can be pretty much any size we want. Now we just go through and trim everything up so that it looks a little bit more tree-like. Wherever you see an area that doesn't look like a tree, you're going to want to cut it. It may be hard to see, but I'm using Loctite spray glue on our branches and then sprinkling flock over top of the trees on the sides and on the bottoms, and then taking a nice highlight layer and putting it on top. Using a drill and some super glue, I seat each of our trees into a nice position. We didn't have enough flowers before, so I thought painting some of our flowers purple and adding them to the mix to fill everything out more would be nice. And we also put down some bushes that we made while we made our trees using the same technique. Between our trees, we need to add tufts and things like that because it's gonna look natural. When you try to mow the lawn, you can't mow between trees. Now we're gluing down wooden coffee stirrers, being very careful to keep them very straight and kind of stacking them on top of each other. We get the job done. This is much easier than many other methods, and I have tried many other methods. What can be very helpful during this section is to put the first one down and let the glue thoroughly dry. Once the glue on all of them has dried, we use our Dremel tool and cut nice straight edges into our house. Then we're using sunflower colored paint on the front and back where we put the coffee stirred. Now we're going to paint a nice piece of sandpaper dark green to act as the shingles on the roof. Having that texture I felt was more important than having actual individual pieces to act as each shingle, and I think that we got a really nice effect just by simply painting the sandpaper and cutting it to a slightly bigger size than our roof pieces. To make the windows, I decided to go above and beyond. I took pictures of the actual rooms of my parents' house and printed them out and made small windows with those pictures in them. So when you look into the house, you can see into my parents' actual house, which I think is really cool. It might not be perfect, but I think it's better than just having some dumb looking windows that don't have pictures in them. What are you, a chump? Now we're gonna lay down the back door and start putting the arm rails down on the porch, as well as put down some other small finishing touches. The final step that we're going to do for this is put down these two big trees, and then we'll call the project done. Now, I'm super proud of how this project turned out. I know that it's not, amazing. There's probably a lot of people that could do a way better job at this than I did, but this is the first step forward for me, and I'm so proud of this first step forward, because I know that it means that eventually I'm going to be able to create something really great, eventually I'm going to be able to achieve that goal that I've dreamed about since I was a little kid, of making just these cool areas from movies and video games and real life, just breathing life into these projects. And so I'm extremely humbled by the opportunity to share this with you now, because I know that all my hard work is going to pay off, and that eventually I'm going to be so good at making these projects that one of them is going to get a bunch of attention, and our channel will be big, and you'll be able to say, I've been here since the beginning, and I've always known Professor Smoke makes some awesome stuff, you know what I mean? So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much.